Hello, this is Christopher James with All Things Branson, and today we're at the Bald Knobbers Theater. Is that the name of it officially?
Yeah.
I think it is, isn't it? And we're out here with Joey and Dan from Tellin Tales, right?
Yeah.
Tellin Tales
Comedy Tour, that's right.
Yes, and you guys now have a full-time show here in Branson, right?
Yeah, this is our first full-time year. We were kind of in and out a little bit last year doing some spot dates and things, but this is our first year that we said, you know what, we're going to make a run in Branson, and this is our first year.
Yeah, how's that working out for you?
It's doing great. Our audiences have been growing every single show, so it's awesome. I mean, we were here for some spot dates last year, and to be able to come back for our first full-time year and to basically be in the Grand Ole Opry, if you will, of Branson, at the Bald Knobbers Theater, I think it's pretty cool. So that's awesome.
Yeah. So last year when you were here, it was at the same theater, right?
We were in a smaller theater right up the strip here at the Lodge of the Ozarks.
Oh, I know.
It's a little smaller room, and it was a great place to test out some different marketing things and stuff like that, and see how our show was going to be consumed, by the demographic that's here. Yeah,
because I think you were up there with some of our friends from the Redneck Tenors. Were they up there when you were there?
They sure were.
With Blake and them? Oh, that's cool. All right, but you're out here, and your show's at 2 o'clock. That's kind of a weird time in Branson, isn't it?
It is a little weird time, I think. I think it's a little weird for comedy in general. But because there's kind of a rule in comedy. I don't know, Dan, you may have heard or may not have heard it, but there's kind of a rule that I've always heard that nothing's funny before 12.
Really?
Nothing's
12
funny.
a.m.?
Yeah.
It's midnight. Nothing is funny before midnight.
So it's a little different, but the demographic here really it's situated okay here because in this part of the country, folks are getting up early. They're early risers, so by 2 o'clock they're prime. They're ready.
Yeah. Especially the audiences that we get this time of the year. They're up early and they're ready for bed early. So, so that works out.
But they're great. They're fantastic. I mean, like I said, they're great consumers of our product. This is an excellent demographic for the style of show that we're doing.
What is the style? What is your style, Dan?
It's storytelling comedy. We kind of play off each other a little bit, but we both being former law enforcement officers and whatnot, it kind of the stories kind of tend to go that way. We talk about law enforcement. And Joey was a professional wrestler, so there's some of those.
Really?
Yeah, he fought for the World Championship on pay-per-view. So,
well, that's fun.
We talk about those things. It's basically life stories. All the things that we did that we probably regretted at the time now are a pretty good story.
Really? So how long is that show? Because that would be a several-hour show for me to talk about everything I regretted.
We run about 90 minutes, and it kind of depends on the crowd. It's just like with any other show. The more the crowd is involved and the more the audience is giving back to the performers, the extra little things the performers are going to do because they're having fun is going to stretch the show out a little bit. So that's one of the things I've always said, that I wish that the audiences that are not as into the show maybe could see some of the shows that the audiences really are paying the performers off and see the difference in the show, because I think then they would actually step up a little bit more, and pay off the performers.
No, I have that same issue because I'll do a show and usually, people will come out and they're always nice here in Branson and stuff. So they always come out, it was good show. And I think, it wasn't like you should have been here yesterday.
Yeah, sure.
Like that would have been a great show to you. You would have just
and
loved
generally it's always when your family is in the audience or you have friends or there's other performers is the shows that are
because you try a little bit harder. Don't
maybe
you
or maybe you're expecting to get a little bit more because you really want to leave a good impression.
Right. I find that the best shows are when you know somebody in the audience or when the audience is a little rough, because then I seem to try a little bit harder.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking that woman is not smiling. She's going to smile by the end of the show.
And that's the one you're going to look at, too.
Yeah, it drives you crazy, doesn't it?
Yeah, you're going to win her over. Yeah, it's that kind of
I worked with a performer for years, and there's a running joke with him that one person out there could just be sitting, having a fine time, just not as into the show, and he would focus on that person and be miserable. Miserable.
I'll tell you that I own a circus as well. I have a 3-ring circus that tours the East Coast of the U.S. And I actually won the 2008-2009 Clown of the Year. I won that back-to-back. And that's one of the things that I have always taught myself to do, is because the first time that I had a really bad show, because I was focused on that person who was had their arms crossed, sitting in the box seats in the front row.
Yeah.
That was like, I dare you, go ahead, try to make me laugh, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I was focused on trying to win that person over, and I had a bad show. I wasn't having fun because I was so focused on making that one that I forgot about everybody else around that person was having a great time and was having a blast.
Right.
So now what I do is I find those when I first go out, I find those 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, whatever they may be, that I know is ready to have fun, and I perform for those guys.
Is that pretty much the ratio you get? 3 or 4 people?
Well,
that
on
want
occasion,
to have fun?
on occasion, we have had sellout shows of 6.
We get 300 people, but 3 of them are there to have fun. that's all.
So it does happen. You're absolutely right. So I guess I'm kind of quite the other way around with that. If I, I'm gonna try to win them over, but it's not going to ruin my day because it's not everybody else's fault that person is
right.
Is not.
I listen to a lot of podcasts myself, and one of them was with Mark Maron. I don't know. He's a comedian, does a lot of podcasts, and he had some guests on. I want to say they were from like Blink 182, a big band. And they were kind of saying that. They said the people down front, they're so jaded usually. Those are the people that come to a lot of shows, so that's why they have front row seats. But he said he focuses on the guy in the back that's with his daughter. And this is like the one concert they might go to.
Sure.
And they're having fun, so he keeps looking at them to make sure they have a good time. So.
That's a great idea. And, I guess I have caught myself doing the same thing, but never really realized that till just then because I've noticed that I do that. You can kind of see folks that this may be the only show that they can come to in Branson.
Right.
And I don't know, you just pick up on let me make this good for those.
Well,
guys,
that's what makes Branson different. Is that I had a show I did in Vegas, and I've worked in L.A. a lot and New York. But there, people are used to the shows. They go to shows all the time. In Branson, we get a lot of families that come out, and this is the vacation of the year, or every 2 years. So they might see 3 or 4 shows. And yours would be one of the only comedy shows that they're going to see.
Right. Yeah, we actually bill ourselves as one of the only non-musical shows in Branson.
Yeah.
Because we really are.
What? No music? You don't play anything?
No, we don't play any music.
No,
there's
banjo?
music before the show and all that kind of stuff. But, it's just clean Southern style storytelling kind of comedy. It's not those quick one-liner kind of comedies.
I think the advantage to our comedy show here is the people that come here are so used to seeing shows. And, every time the band plays that last note,
they're conditioned. Yeah.
When we tell a story, when the story ends,
they applaud. Yeah,
they pay it off.
It's like they're listening to a concert,
Yeah, there's kind of a rhythm to proper comedy and stuff.
And this town is totally. This is like an island as far as America goes. Branson's kind of like an island. When
like Alcatraz, is that what you're saying?
Well, no, good island. We'll make a fantasy island.
Twisted. Are you a prosecuting or a defense attorney? What?
Well, I'm just trying to read between the lines. I was a psychologist. So.
When I first started comedy, I was still a full-time police officer, but I was doing comedy on the side, and there was times in comedy clubs where they would boo me as I walked to the stage because they introduced me as this guy's a police officer from Nashville. They would boo me walking to the stage. It's real hard to dig yourself out of a hole here.
Yeah.
Now here in Branson, they love the police. They love the military. It's a totally different. It's different performing here than anywhere else.
Yeah.
Now, granted, even in other clubs right now, because so many police are being shot for no reason and whatnot, people are starting to even in a regular comedy club. I can mention I was a police officer, and I don't do that from the start. When I'm working my regular stand-up, I don't go out there and say I'm a cop out of the gate. I make them like me first.
Yeah.
But now when I say, I was a police officer for 19 years,
Oh, there you go.
They didn't do that up until probably the last year. They didn't boo, but they didn't clap.
Did you work on your act when you were a police officer? Did you go up to somebody's car? So, where are you from?
No.
Well, I'll tell you what.
That'd be great.
Come and watch the show and then make that judgment for yourself because there's
maybe a couple of times.
Yeah.
And you with the circus, you come off, you're dressed as a clown, you got the nose on.
Yeah. And
do you know why I pulled you over? Well, here, what balloon do you like?
Well, I didn't do it quite as much. The lieutenant, after a little while, didn't like he thought I couldn't run in the shoes.
Yeah,
But
that's probably a problem.
It does. Dan actually, he won't tell you this, but I will. Dan actually won the title of the world's funniest cop just a few years ago, which is pretty awesome. Mm-hmm. Did you win the title?
I did.
All right.
Met Jay Leno. It was awesome.
That's nice. Yeah, that's cool. So, what about the circus situation? So, do you still do the circus?
Yeah,
I'm
circus still
fascinated because my show is circus themed.
Okay.
That I do.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you. Just a real quick synopsis of it. I got to go to the circus once when I was about 6 or 7 years old, and I remember seeing everything that was there. I was so short at the time. I can remember being up at the bally skirt, which is the skirt that goes around the track, if you know circus.
Yeah.
And I had to pull the bally down so I could look over. It was how small it was. And I remember seeing, you had high wire walkers, you had trapeze guys, all the animals, the jugglers, the clowns, everything. And the clowns were the ones that were on the floor the most of anybody in the show.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, these guys are doing everything. They're juggling, they're balancing, they're doing all these things.
They're amazing.
So I went home and I taught myself how to juggle and balance at about 6 or 7 years old. And that was just my thing. I was the guy that played Charlie Chaplin in the school plays and Laurel and Hardy and all of those things.
We need to talk more because I'm a huge Buster Keaton fan.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Huge. I read every book about him. And my best friend teaches at the Barnum Clown College.
Very cool.
So,
Very cool. In Bridgeport?
In, what was it, in Florida? There's one in Florida, right?
Now, the Clown College actually shut down a few years ago, the original Clown College. Mm-hmm. Now, kind of the premier school that's out there is in Newark, Ohio. It's run by a guy named Jeffrey Potts, and he's a really good friend of mine. It's called the American Clown Academy, and it's just a 1 week school every year, which is it's fantastic.
1 week? That doesn't seem very long.
It's not very long. But the good thing there is that it's the instructor to student ratio is just ridiculous. I mean, it's like 1 to 4.
Oh, yeah.
So you get a lot of one-on-one time. You've got people there that are current in the business. These are not guys that want, and I'm not saying anything about anybody, but these are not guys that once were, hard workers and were known and stuff like that. These are guys that are currently using different methods to get jobs, to do all these different things right now.
Right.
So it's just a fantastic school. Anyway, but they actually shot a documentary about us because me and my wife both, when I retired from the police department, she left her job. We took every bit of our savings and put it together and built our show. And just to give you an idea, the first town that we stopped in was Kissimmee, Florida. We stopped there in February, and between us and 3 other performers, we only had $80.
Yeah, that's a tough place because you're right there outside.
Oh yeah,
of,
but if we hadn't gotten paid for being in that town, we would have had to sell a truck to buy fuel to pull to the next town.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we had nothing. Everything that we had was invested in that show.
Oh yeah.
But they shot a documentary about us. It's been 2-3 years ago now. The documentary is called Grease Paint, and it actually in I think the first 6 or 7 months won 8 different awards at film festivals all around the world. It was picked up by Cinema Libre Studios in Hollywood, California for distribution. It's been distributed to I forgot how many countries, all over South America, Japan, Australia, Europe, all those kind of places.
Wow.
It done well enough that it spun off a television show that we're currently filming for that's supposed to debut in about 4 weeks called Funny Business.
Yeah.
And it's about our family and just what it takes to go up and down the road with the circus. We actually shot here in Branson this week. Me and Dan shot some for an episode coming up.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting to me because I, before moving to Branson, I owned an amusement company. So we did all the rides and everything for fairs and circuses and stuff. So
well, that's where my circus plays most of the time. It's big county fairs and state fairs.
That was my thing. That's tough. Did you ever do comedy there? I mean, like,
no. Well, yes, I did. Yeah, I done last year. Actually, I done 1 or 2 dates, and they were okay because it was. It's
tough.
It is tough, but these, and I kind of was specific about it. I didn't want to work in the big open air barn or the big open air stage because that's just. There's so much to compete with.
Yeah.
But both of these had places that were inside that were separate. So once we got them in, they were there.
So it was a men's restroom. You're in there performing.
Actually, we weren't able to rent the whole restroom, but we had a stall.
That's nice.
Yeah, it was the third stall.
Everybody got a good seat.
Yeah.
And that's all. No, I used to do fairs, and I did the big open air, and what made it even worse was I opened for Jeff Foxworthy many times, and so nobody wanted to see me.
Sure.
Sure. And I did a completely different style of comedy than Jeff and and all them. So I had to deal with that. So there I am doing my 20 minutes to warm them up, and they're all chanting for Jeff Foxworthy.
Yeah.
You know, so
the in and out. Hey, you're in my seat. Get out of the way.
yeah,
I'm
that's
going
what's
back to
tough
get
about
popcorn.
that.
Do you want me to grab some popcorn for you?
Yeah. And when we did other fairs, we had to have, I think, 4 to 5 shows a day is what they wanted. Every 2 hours we did a show. And they wanted everyone different at these county fairs.
Yeah.
So, that was a lot of work. So, but how'd the two of you meet to put together the show?
He was writing his phone number on the bathroom wall at a
when you
truck
were
stop.
performing.
Yeah, and I had to call him down from that.
James Sibley that works out at Pierce Arrow.
Yes.
I've known Sibley for 15 years, I guess. I met him in Georgia. He was featuring for Tim Wilson, and I was a huge fan of Tim Wilson, and I was the MC, and that's how we met. And we've been friends ever since. And Joey met James up here, and he was looking for maybe another person to add to the show here, and James dropped my name, and that's how it all happened.
You guys have a similar style, right? Because James tells a lot of stories about
And as far as like our style, the way that we flow, I'm more of my stories tend to be a little longer with a bigger payoff at the end. And I mean, I have tags throughout, but Dan's style.
Dan, yeah.
What's his who?
Dan.
Dan. Let's go with that. But his style is.
You've met, right?
Well, just that once at the truck stop.
Right.
But no, his style is he's got a little bit more of that. He comes out of the comedy club, so he's got a little bit more of that rhythm of needing to get a laugh every 8 to 10 seconds or a chuckle every 8 to 10 seconds. And I'm more of the mine are a little bit longer with the payoff at the finish. So and then we do a kind of your turn, my turn with the show, and that's something else that I think is cool that we riff a lot in the show. There's a lot of we kind of have an idea of the stories we want to tell.
Yeah,
but we honestly don't really know what we're going to tell when we go on stage. We know kind of where we want to go with it, but that's what makes it so cool is that he'll say something in one of his stories that'll spark a memory that I have of another story, and then I'll take off with that, and it just runs from there. So our show is not, if you're looking to see somebody, cannonball shot in from the back to land in a big net in front of the stage, or if you're looking for lightning bolts to shoot across the stage,
you got lasers and stuff.
If you're looking for a Pink Floyd show, we're not the show to come see.
No, but that's what people like here.
Yeah.
That is exactly what they like.
Yeah.
Because my first year in Branson, I came in with all this big stage stuff I was going to do, and then I'll tell you the truth. The very first year, I had never heard of Branson before I moved here. Never heard of it, and so I took time. After several months, and we went to every show, and the Bald Knobbers was one of the shows, and the Presleys, and all the little shows down through here. And I learned that what people want is exactly what you're saying. Like, they liked when you were just normal with them and just talked with them and told a story. A lot of yes ma'ams and yes sirs and it's take your time. And
it's a very patriotic fan base too here, which is awesome. I think I love that the town, every show recognizes the vets and public safety. And we actually had a guy last week. He was a firefighter from Canada. And that was one of his things after the show. He said, I can't get over how much emphasis you guys put on the vets and the public safety and their spouses, and how much you appreciate them here. And he said, we don't get that as much at home. And I never really thought about that. I am sure there's other places where it's just the job.
Right.
You just get up and go. But I think here in America, especially after 9/11, we realized that those are heroes. Those are our frontline heroes. You know? And
the way that they honor vets, which vets mean a lot to me, because we took our dog to a vet here about a week ago.
How'd that come out for you?
Not too well.
Not too well?
No. So
well, you should let somebody else clip the toenails from now on.
Yeah, really.
There's no reason to amputate.
So I always honor the vets in the show. We bring out a bunch of cats.
That's awesome. Good for you, man.
Are we doing it right? Isn't that how you... Maybe I misunderstood. So you guys live here in Branson with your families now, obviously, during this time of the year.
Actually not. Actually not. We're in and out because my wife, we have the circus, and we also have a dinosaur show that tours the fair festivals as well.
Dinosaur show?
Yeah.
What is going on with you?
They're not real dinosaurs.
No?
Well, thanks for spoiling that.
He knew.
How do you think
He's got a podcast.
What are you talking?
Yeah.
You think he knew that they weren't real?
Well,
Actually, that's the number one question at the dinosaur show. Somebody will walk up and, what is this? Oh, it's the dinosaur show. Are they real?
oh yeah.
So we're like, yes, we're the only ones in the known universe that have these in captivity. Yes,
keep it a secret.
For $25 extra, we'll let you feed. We'll let you feed and pet them.
Yeah. And once they see the vet.
Yeah,
so
once they see the vet, exactly.
It's very special.
Yeah, they've got clean papers.
That's right. See, at the dinosaur show and the wrestling, have you guys ever wrestled on stage? Because that would be awesome. That should be part of it. Wrestle a vet.
I'm not quite as resilient as I used to be. Used to, I would bounce when I hit the ground. Now it's more like a piece of glass. Pieces tend to go everywhere. Yeah. So no, there's no wrestling on stage.
Did you have a name when you were?
Yeah, when I was working. The third largest wrestling office in the world was Global Wrestling Federation at the time. It was out of Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. And my character was Mad Dog Joe there. It was a really nasty looking, kind of biker looking guy. It was just
be the Velasa wrestler.
Yeah. It was pretty nasty. And then my contract was purchased by WCW, which is at the time was the world's largest wrestling office. And I went to work there, and I was there for a little while. They changed my character into a clean cut, kind of all American kid kind of thing.
No, that's a little bit different.
Yeah,
I used to follow all that.
Yeah,
Piper was my favorite.
All right, Ronnie was a great guy. I know all of those guys, man.
That was a big deal to us. Like I grew up outside of Cleveland, Pittsburgh area, and they would have Saturday night. Whatever they used to have on NBC, and you could go not WrestleMania, but it was like WrestleMania.
Right.
We would show up and be like, "Oh no, they're filming tonight."
Oh yeah,
and Hogan would be there. And so I can't wrestle. It's just
sure you can.
No,
sure you can.
No,
you wrestle with an audience every day, pal.
Every day.
Trust me.
That's true.
Yes. So, but what do you like to do here in Branson? We always like to give recommendations to people about fun things to do because your show's at 2. Which is nice because you get the evenings free, you get the mornings free.
Yeah.
I used to do a noon show, and that was awesome because I would just tell my wife, then I'll be back in a few hours, and it's like running to the store.
And it's back. A little. To be honest with you, when we first started doing the 2 o'clock time slot, it was kind of weird for me because usually you do the show at 8:30, and then it's later at night, and you're able to hang out, and then you end up going to. But here. It's weird to go out of the back of the theater and it's still daylight.
I know, it's very strange.
It's kind of weird, but what do
you like to do?
I'm gonna tell you, man. Just honestly, just kind of hanging around. We went to a few shows here, show wise or activities wise.
Anything,
what are you looking for?
Anything. We talked to some people. They just love going out on the lake and stuff like that. Which I don't. Are you outdoorsy?
We are, but we haven't got a chance to do much of that.
Now, stay pretty busy.
Yeah, we do because we get up early in the morning. We're the guys that are out, jumping from hotel to hotel, trying to see everybody, pass out brochures and information and things like that. And then we end up doing
whether they want it or not. You're just knocking on the doors.
They're going to take it. Well, if they won't open the door, he pulls the fire alarm, and then
there you go.
Right inside it goes. Yeah,
well, that's perfect.
Yeah, we know most of the managers and police officers here.
Not by choice. Well, sort of by choice.
Well, I was trying to think too.
There's just a lot to do here.
There is a lot of stuff.
I don't do a lot of the outdoor because camping to me is just paying to pretend you're homeless. Like I don't think you seriously need to go camping, so I don't do that.
You don't have to pay. You don't have to a cardboard box, man, and
really?
You're good. Yes.
I think so?
Yes. I mean, if you want the real experience, you grab a box and go out there and get on the side.
No, you want the real experience. You have to do what I did a few years ago. We got a motorcycle in Korea and went all the way across to the southern side of Cambodia. So that's camping.
This was on purpose? I mean, you intended
it was
to do
on
that?
purpose.
Okay.
Yeah.
We
decided basically one day.
Kidnapped and escaped or something.
That's what Che Guevara did, wasn't it?
I don't know.
He rode a motorcycle across.
What does she look like?
It was the communist guy that's responsible for Cuba being communist.
Oh, yeah. Do you do that in Asia, though?
Right.
I don't know. Are you calling me a communist? Is this where we're going with
the
this?
Shoe fits, pal.
If the shoe fits.
Well, it has to fit. It has to fit everyone. We all share it.
It may have been part of Asia and part of Europe. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was it was just me and the juggler. And we did that and drove across and did what we had to do.
So were you street performing? Was that what you were doing?
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Yeah, which was interesting.
Yeah.
So how'd you wind up over there?
Kidnapped.
No, honestly, just decided to go do something one winter after being stuck here in Branson all the time. And I'm not a winter guy, so I don't. And so I just went to the airport and said, "Where's the next flight going?" And they said, well, these people just went to Incheon. I'm like, where's Incheon, Korea? I'm like, all right, let's do that.
Let's do that.
So we just did it.
That's awesome. Good for you. I love that, man. I love folks that just say, you know what, this is what I want to do. Get out of the way. Let me go do it.
Yeah. What if they'd been going to Syria?
All right, that's fine. I've been there. Yeah.
You've been to Syria?
Yeah, I did a Mideast tour for the USO. So
okay,
that's
cool.
fantastic.
That's nice.
They actually contacted us for the circus to go. They didn't contact us last year, but for 3 years in a row, they contacted us about going. The first stop was where was the first stop? The first stop was in Afghanistan. And then you were there for like 12 days, and the next stop was somewhere in the northern part of India. Then you came back through, stopped in Iran, and then went somewhere else. And I was like,
Iran, maybe Iraq,
No.
Iran.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Exactly. Thus was the reason we stayed here, because it was. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be a little
different. Then I tried to
Uh-huh.
get in touch with some of the performers that had been there the years prior, and I couldn't get a response from any of those guys.
Well, that's not a good sign.
So I was like, maybe we'll just stay here.
Yeah,
and
that happened to
work the States.
Many years ago. I got a strange call to go to Oman, which is outside Saudi Arabia. A lot of people don't know. So we were going to Oman, and they said we're contracting 2 American performers to perform for the Sultan. They have that. That's like a real thing.
Wow.
And
Yes.
And so it was. I said, "Who's the other performer?" And they said, "He's a singer named Michael Jackson." And so, this was back in 2004 or 5. And so I said, "Okay, I guess I could do that." The 2 of us doing this thing. And so we were going, and they said, "Well, there might be some issues because the Iranian diplomats aren't too keen on American performers being there because they also send their performers."
This Jackson guy you're talking about, he was an American?
I think so.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Part of a circus, I believe. Literally. Because it was me. They said, how many people are you bringing? Because you can bring whoever you want to, we need to know how many houses to get you.
Very cool.
And so I said, well, it'll just be me. And I had 1 assistant at the time. And they said, 2 of you because Mr. Jackson is bringing 107 people or something ridiculous. It was crazy.
And that's because of his money woes.
Yeah, you reckon?
I think he did okay. I think he was fine.
107 folks.
Yeah.
For how many days?
It was for 30 days.
Oh,
It was
for
a
30 days.
30-day.
Okay.
It was a 30-day party, but
Well, I don't
know how many times I've been to do
107
it.
folks for 30 days. Myself.
Yeah, it was all right. Performing on the beach for a sultan. It was for his birthday.
I really feel sorry for you.
Yeah,
I really,
it was.
Really did. And thanks for dragging that out.
I'm just trying to help you out, so you should have
We're
gone.
brand new in Branson and struggling a little bit. We really
You're not
appreciate it.
struggling.
No, don't worry about it. No, don't worry about it.
You couldn't be at a better place, right? No, seriously though, the Bald Numbers
Oh, it's
Theater.
fantastic. Are you kidding me?
We love it here.
Let me tell you, the theater, but more than the theater, the family.
Yeah,
This
they'll
family,
make Branson famous.
man.
Yeah.
We came to them and said, hey, this is what we're thinking. What do you guys think? And they're just such genuine folks, man.
They
just
are.
opened the door and said, come on, we'd love to have you.
They're very kind. They're kind people.
Yeah.
The what you see on stage is what you get. That's
true.
They're the same back here backstage. Anytime that you deal with them in any kind of way, they're just great folks. They're friends. They're family.
I've only got to see the show once because with our schedule, it's very tough because we do a show almost every night.
Sure.
So in 11 years, I've got to see it once, and we had a great time. We were right down front, and it was so much fun. And I try to go to other shows. You guys are hanging out at hotels, but.
All right, here we
on
go.
doors.
Let's see. We've seen Pierce Arrow. We've been to the Haygoods. We've been to Stafford's, the Hughes Brothers, the Bald Knobbers, the God and Country Theaters.
There you go.
But I don't know. They said there was some. What did they say? There's a rowboat show.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's a rowboat show. Is
Sometimes.
That it? Is that?
It depends on.
But
depends on
there's
who's
a rowboat
there.
show with no life jackets. I heard. I don't
Oh
know
no, we got plenty of life
do you?
jackets.
Okay.
Yeah, they just they're here next week, but we have
Sooner or later,
we don't
they're
keep them
gonna-
on board.
they're
We
coming
just
in
don't have
COD.
the
There you
space.
go.
No,
There
we
you
do.
go. There you go. But and I will say this: you said only once in 11 years, but this year I saw the show at the end of last year, and I saw the show this year. This new show, they've really revamped. They've redone the stage here for the Bald Knobber show. all new music, all new costumes, of course, new performers. It is a fantastically dynamic show this year.
No, it was a great show when I saw it,
yeah.
and that's what I said. I said I haven't, just because I don't go to the shows doesn't mean I
You're right.
don't like them. You know, it's just a time.
Well,
we do
exactly.
we do 400 and some shows a year. We do 12 a week is what we do, and
That's
so
awesome.
when you get one evening off,
Yep.
you don't want to
Yep,
go
I know.
sit and watch a show.
My
I don't
circus
care.
right now, last year, done 704 performances.
It's crazy, isn't it?
So it's crazy. I understand that 100%.
How many people do you have in the circus, by the way?
There's 1, 2, 3, 4,
Two.
5,
There's two.
6.
That's it.
I want to tell you
Wait,
this.
what was your name again?
Dan.
Okay.
There's 9 touring with the show this year. Yeah.
Any animal acts in it?
One small dog act.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
I love animal acts.
Well,
I love
they-
animals.
I
We
do
throw
too.
an animal rights barbecue at our house every June.
That's awesome.
It is.
That's awesome. So
You invite all the vets.
do you eat the animals or the
Well, we
rice?
tried to serve Wookiee last year,
How did
but
that
it was
work?
way too chewy for
Really?
most of it. For
Ah!
most of us. So
Oh,
we can do this all day.
I would prefer not to.
Yeah.
That-
That's pretty much what my audience says.
I do a really corny joke in the show, and I always tell Fud that's my go-to. I'm like, look, you might as well laugh at it. I'm not going to twist balloon animals or anything, so you might as well just go ahead and laugh.
Just
at
get
that.
it
It's
over.
as
I
good
do
as
the
it's
same
gonna
thing.
get.
I
Yeah.
say, you might as well laugh. We're on a boat. You're not going anywhere till I meet my quota. What are you gonna-
we're not passing out the oars
Yeah.
until we get our money back.
We're the only theater in town that can actually keep you. So you don't.
If you don't like the show, leave.
But,
Yes,
yeah, good
let's
luck.
see. Yeah,
Jump
we're
off
starting
right
a
now.
reality show. So you think you can swim?
That's awesome.
So let's see how that goes.
Great lines, man.
No,
Great
but
lines.
Branson is great, and we joke around about it and stuff. But no, it really is good. The audiences are genuine. They want to come out and meet you after the show, which
Yes.
is a little different than what when I was first here. That
It
was
is.
very different. That they just wanted to come out and tell you a story or.
And I think that really plays to our style of show, to be honest with you, because one of the things that we hear over and over and over, they say things like, man, I felt like we had known you guys. You're like my Uncle Tom, or you're like my Uncle John, or my grandpa that was always with the stories. You know, those were the guys that you always wanted to sit near at family reunions and Christmas and Thanksgiving, because they had these great stories to tell. So that's one of the things that we get back. And another thing that we get back all the time is they're like, man, I can't believe that an hour and a half went by like that.
Right.
And which is awesome, which means they've probably slept through the whole thing.
Probably, yeah, that happens. Well, because you kept them up because they were in their hotel
Exactly,
and you're knocking
exactly.
on their door.
That's what we get for being such a late show at 2 p.m. But no, we really do get that back a lot, and it really plays well to our show because, at the end of the show, we don't go backstage. Mm-hmm. We're sitting on the front of the stage. At the end of the show, we walk down the front of the stage. We're right there.
Yeah.
We're right there with the folks.
Well, you got to clean up the theater at the end of the show. They make you do
after
that.
everybody gets out. After everybody gets out. But it really works out well. That that's what I think. That's the calling card of Branson is, if you will. They really like that interpersonal, that contact.
Right.
They really like the fact that if I go down to the grocery store, there's a good chance I'm going to bounce off of 3 or 4 different performers. Mm-hmm. And that's true. And everyone that I have met has been really outgoing, and the performers really appreciate the contact with the people that are coming to see it, because I think that we all realize that if it wasn't for them, that none of us would be working.
Right.
None of us would have a job.
Do they ask you if you have another job? I get that all the time,
Yeah,
even
we
though
get-
we're there like 12 times,
Yeah,
12
yeah.
shows a week. So
We
what
get
else
that.
do you do?
What's your day job?
Exactly.
Yeah. What's your day job? And truth be told, a lot of the musicians in town and things, they're playing on 2 or 3 different shows a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that sometimes if they know that, well, then they may be trying to get a reference to the next greatest show or something.
Yeah, right. Oh,
So
that's true.
So when we tell them that we're the guys on the back of the garbage truck, that ends that. They don't ever ask to come to see us there.
Yeah, right.
I
right.
mean,
Well,
Dan has got a moan back like you wouldn't believe. Do it one time.
has got what?
What?
A moan back. You know what I'm talking about. Moan back. Moan back.
Oh,
there you go.
I'm just glad you remembered his name this time. That's good. No, but I really appreciate talking to the two of you, Dan and Joey, out here at
Thank
the
you.
Bald
Thank
Knobbers
you,
Theater.
man. It's been awesome, and thanks for the opportunity. Thanks for the plugs and just doing the interview and taking the time with us.
Well,
it
thanks
really
for-
does mean a lot to us. We are the new kids in town. We are a completely different style show in town.
Just take some time. That's what it takes.
Yeah.
Because I've seen a lot of comedians come into town. One that used to be my hero, Bob Nelson. Do you remember Bob Nelson? Was here for a while. And he would joke in his show about, we had a huge audience last night, 6 people. And it's because it's a different style of show, you know?
Right.
And his was just stand-up comedy. He didn't do music or anything like that. And so it takes a while, but if you
it's
stick
coming.
around.
And we've already had we've had people that have been back 3 or 4 times to our show.
Those are the ushers.
Well, maybe.
You should learn more names.
I have to point that out.
You're not very good with names.
That's right, I'm trying to plug the show, but thanks for chopping that down. But we've had folks that, and every time they come back, they bring somebody else with them. So they're enjoying the show enough to bring their family and friends, and that's awesome. When somebody thinks enough of you to expose the rest of their family and friends to you and say, hey, come and go with me and watch this, that really says a lot. And we are about the only non-musical show here, but we actually have kind of bent the way of the variety a little bit, because when we first started coming here, everybody was like, you'll never be successful in Branson, Missouri without music and dancing and variety in your show.
I don't think that's true anymore.
I don't think it is either, but we have kind of bent with the twig, if you will. So toward the end of the show, we do a few variety things that you cannot see on our tour dates that we do around the country.
Yeah.
We only do them here. For example,
We have a stunt chicken.
we do. We have
A stunt chicken.
We have a daredevil chicken in our show.
A live chicken?
And it's a daredevil
Well, when it
chicken.
starts. That's why you have to honor the vets. You're like, we need help with our chicken. He's got an aerial disease
if we
now.
can't find the stunt chicken, it turns into a duck. That's one of the magic tricks. But we have used a goat.
That's close enough.
It is. It's pretty close. You just got to go with what's available at the time.
And you have a lot of goats available?
Not really as much as we used to now that we've started using them, because what we were doing, we were actually slingshotting them across the
Oh, see, we
theater.
used to do that in my little circus show that we had.
You slingshotted a goat?
Not a goat, but I used to do a bend on a typical magic show. Instead of producing doves, I produced fruit bats. And then we would let them fly around the audience, these black bats. And instead of rabbits, we would produce rats. And then we had a ratapult that looked like we were launching them across the audience.
Awesome.
We weren't actually.
Sure.
That's fun.
Sure, that is fun.
So we did the ratapult where I would load it in and you would see it launch over back to the sound booth and people were going crazy. It's
Spectacular. I'm sure the FDA loved that, or the USDA loved that.
Oh, yeah, it was fantastic. So it was fun because we would take the rats to different hotels as promo. We just paint our name on them, let them run around the
just
hotel.
let them run around. That's actually, and you probably know this, that's actually a very old circus advertising trick. They would do things like the circus would pull into town and somehow miraculously one of the seals or sea lions would escape and it would end up in the fountain in the town square, or a zebra would get loose and run through town and things like that. Yeah. So if you didn't know the circus was in town, well, you do now.
Yeah,
because,
there's a great book about Barnum and all the circuses about his promotions and stuff.
Hell, he was the guy. He was the guy. He was the very first man to ever produce an ad of any kind. Nobody had ever ran an ad in a newspaper or any of that stuff. In fact, his is the first recorded commercial. He recorded it on Edison's phonograph.
Really?
Yes.
I have not.
Yeah, you need to check it out online.
Can you hear it?
You can hear it online, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And,
but he also sent people out ahead of time to destroy the ads that anyone else had.
Yes.
So
which is still a common practice today, believe it or not. There's still a lot of my
I
banner.
saw you guys up there on the billboards.
You did you see that? My banner over your banner kind of thing?
Over James Sibley's. What was that about? James is going to be very upset about that. Exactly.
Who was it?
Exactly. Well, thanks a lot for joining us on the podcast here today. And come out and see the Tellin Table Show.
Yeah,
Out
absolutely.
here at the Baldnumbers Theater. And I'm sure they can get the info on the website.
They can. It's tellin-tales-tour.com. Whatever it makes, it's just there. Just go with it, man.
Everything
Everything is a question.
The dash. All right. Well, maybe your wrestling circus. Put it all together. But thanks for joining us. Come out and see the Tellin Tale show out here with Joey and Dan at the Baldnumbers. This is Christopher James. Thanks for listening to All Things Branson.